Nobody has. Even Buddha, Christ, the Prophet Muhammad, they all had their detractors. Did they go around worrying about what people who disliked them would think about them? Heck no! They were too busy focusing on serving the people who did like them, serving the people who were coming to them for help, the people who were looking to them for guidance and inspiration. You know the way I figure it? If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. Some people like me, some people don't like me. Yeah, I know. Can you believe that? There are some people who don't like me. Huh. But that's cool. That's all right. There's nothing I can do about it. It's also cool because, yes, there are people who dislike you, but you know what? You don't like everybody either. There are people you dislike, and that's absolutely fine. So it's just a fact of life. Some will dislike us, some will like us. Most will have no opinion one way or the other. Oh my word, how ego-crushing is that? Even worse than people disliking me. They don't even think about me at all. Oh, but hey, sorry, it's true. But yeah, so when you're in, excuse me, when you're in an audition or a job interview, if you screw it up, yeah, it's annoying, but that's life. It's not going to kill you. The people who you screw up in front of, chances are they're not even going to remember who you are tomorrow because they're focusing on the person that they want. They're not focusing on the people they don't want. So even if you screw up, provided you don't do something spectacular like, I don't know, kill the casting director or stab the interviewer or whatever it is, or set fire to the table while you're having a date, as long as you don't do something ridiculous, they're going to have forgotten about it. They're not going to be judging you. They're certainly not going to be gossiping about you and spreading it around all their friends and so on. So that's the kind of areas that we focus on when we're dealing with audition anxiety or job interview anxiety or date anxiety, whatever it is. It's nothing to do with the thought of failure. It's the thought of being rejected, the thought of being judged. Even being rejected, excuse me, even the thought of being rejected isn't the primary cause of the anxiety. Oh, I've been rejected. Huh. Okay. It's the judgment. Like in a date, if you get rejected, it's having to face your mates the next day that you got blown out, you got rejected. All of that sort of stuff. Or even, what if the person laughs at me? And it's the same in auditions. It's a fear of judgment that causes that. So how can we get over all of that? Well, again, we use similar NLP, etc. derived techniques in freedom technology. Go all the way back where we learned how to have anxiety, where we learned how to fear judgment, and we look at the other ways in which we can behave instead. We also have there's also other ways we can do where we can actually change behaviours by using behaviour change tools, techniques that cause us to reprogram the mind so we behave in different, more helpful ways. We can also use anchoring. What is anchoring? Okay, have you ever heard a particular piece of music and boy, does that bring back a certain emotion? That's anchoring. Or perhaps you smell, delicious freshly baked bread or cakes, and that brings back perhaps memories of baking at home when you were young. That's all. That's anchoring. It's all based on Anton Pavlov's work. You know, he of the dogs, not he of the Pavlova. But we also use things like anchoring so that you can actually associate the audition or the job interview or the date. You can associate it with enjoyable, pleasurable, successful times. It all helps not to mask the anxiety, because we don't want to mask it. What we're doing is actually giving alternative ways of behaving. Instead, it's like that sat nav. Instead of programming it for anxiety, we program it for confidence. We program it for certainty. We program it for acceptance. Whatever it is that you want instead. That's how we. That's where our audition anxiety comes from. That's why so many things that people use to attempt to beat it don't work because they're looking at the failure aspect, and it's not the failure we're scared of. It's the judgment that we're scared of. And when we're able to accept that and to accept that, yeah, okay, so they all laughed at me when I started singing. Big deal. Somebody else will like it. That's when the anxiety disappears, because what's the worst that can happen? They'll laugh at me. Yeah, wow, big deal. And all of a sudden there's no anxiety there because there's nothing to be scared of. I mean, anxiety is basically your imagination giving you things to be scared about that haven't happened. That's what anxiety is. You are imagining frightening things to be scared of. And when there's nothing to be scared of, then there's no anxiety. When the worst that could possibly happen in the audition is, they say next very quickly and laugh at me. And all of a sudden, you're coming from a much, much stronger place because there's no anxiety there. Because there's nothing to be scared of. You might be scared that they'll give you the job, and then you've got to perform and prove your worth. But that's a whole different thing. One other thing that's kind of related that I want to talk about in the last few minutes is stage fright. And again, this affects people on stage, singers, actors, speakers, dancers, and so on. It also affects us in many other areas. People often call it performance anxiety. Stage fright, performance anxiety, whatever you want to call it. It's the same sort of thing. And it's where a lot of it comes down to that external judgment and to your own internal doubts, your lack of self-belief, your belief that you can't do it, that you're not good enough, you're not worthy, all of these sorts of things. They sound familiar? Have you ever had any of those sorts of things going through your head? Heaven knows I've had it often enough in the past. And do I still get it from time to time now? I'll be honest, absolutely, it happens from time to time. But I've got the tools to cope with that and to handle all of that. Freedom technology blasts it all out. And that will be the same for everyone. I mean, even somebody like, let's say, somebody like Tony Robbins, there are going to be times where he has that self-doubt going through his mind, where he has that negative self-talk, they call it, where he has that voice saying, even he will have that from time to time. He has his ways of dealing with it. So it's just part of who we are. But it doesn't have to be all of who we are. And we don't have to accept it either. Just because you have that voice doesn't mean you have to accept it, agree with it, and follow what it says. Yeah, it's not easy to start with, or it's not easy unless you know how to do this. But again, using freedom technologies with processes and ways of, again, learning new ways to behave, new kind of emotions, changing decisions that you made in the past as well. And that is a really powerful one. That's where a lot of stage fright comes from. You made the decision that you're not good enough. You made the decision that I should be seen and not heard, or I shouldn't stand out in front of people. Nobody's going to be interested in me. All of those sorts of things. They are things which we have learned, similar to the emotions when we were talking about being shy, talking about confidence. It's things that we've learned when we were younger. So again, we use freedom technologies to go back. And it's not going back like regression and experiencing those events all over again and having the tears and all. It's none of that. There's none of the emotions experienced at all. Because, I mean, those are the sort of things where you have to go back and relive the trauma. Forget that. There's no need to do that. It's harmful. It doesn't help in the slightest. It slows things down. You don't have to experience any of that negative emotion whatsoever. In fact, when I work with clients and do this stuff, it's the exact opposite. They don't experience the negative emotions. Keep them in a positive frame of mind. Keep their spirits high, so they're happy, they're upbeat, they're positive about it the whole way through. So with things like stage fright, you've made a decision at some time. Now, sometimes people will say, "Oh, I didn't decide that I'm not good enough. It's just always been that way. Ooh, now there's a red flag if ever I saw one. If you've got these sort of self-doubts or whatever, good question to ask yourself is, when did I decide that? Oh, I could never succeed as I could never succeed as an actor. Really, when did you decide that? Oh, I never decided that. It's just always been the way. It's just always been that way. No, there was a time when you decided that. And I can guarantee there was at a time you decided that, because when you were born, you weren't born knowing you couldn't be an actor. Because when you were born, you didn't even know what an actor was. Even the concept did not exist for you. So how could you have known at birth that you could not be an actor when you didn't even know what it was? The only thing you knew at the time of your birth is how to breathe. And even then, sometimes the doctors have to kind of kickstart you. So there is a time where you decided this thing. And again, it was because of something that happened. And you were doing the best you could. But with hindsight and with further life experience, you can decide there are other more powerful ways of behaving instead. So just as we do with anxiety, just as we do with confidence, so it is with stage fright. It's changing those decisions. Does this work? Well, we're just about at the end of the show, but let me just very, very briefly share with you the story of a wonderful lady called Ruta, who she's Lithuanian, and she is a very, very well-trained singer, beautiful voice, very good singer. But when she came to see me, could not perform. No way could she perform, not even for friends, let alone get up on stage and sing. She desperately wanted to, but she just could not. Had all of those doubts. Oh, I'm not good enough. People aren't going to want to listen to me singing, blah, 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 all of that stuff. Now, due to a particularly bizarre combination of circumstances and mix-ups, we actually ended up meeting in Parliament Square in London. Quite a busy place, lots of tourists around. We found a quiet spot at the back of Parliament Square, some seats at the back. If you know the square, you'll know what I mean. If you don't know the square, then it doesn't matter. We found a quiet, secluded spot. And we worked together for a session for 3/4 of an hour, something like that. Helping her conquer all of those self-doubts, instill the confidence, instill the belief that she could perform and enjoy performing, and people wanted to see her perform. So when we'd done it, I asked her what she thought about performing. She said, yeah, I could perform. Okay. Would you be able to perform here, for example, in Parliament Square? She said, yeah. Okay, go on then. Stand up. Give us a song now. So she stood up in Parliament Square, tourists all walking around, lots of people around, stood up in Parliament Square and sang a song completely unaccompanied. Now, this was someone who, an hour a bit earlier, couldn't stand the thought of singing even to close friends who were imploring her to sing. And here she was singing her heart out in front of tourists who were walking past in Parliament Square. Does this stuff work? You tell me. There's a lot more we could talk about, and as I say, get in touch through the confidencealchemist.com website or through the Confidence Alchemist Facebook page. Drop me a line, let me know what you thought of this. Let me know what areas you'd like us to explore in more depth. Over the next few shows, I've got some cracking guests coming up. We're going to have some amazing conversations, and then in about 4 shows' time, it's going to be just you and me again, and we're going to have another chat and explore some more stuff in more detail. But that's it for now. Find out more. Go to theconfidencealchemist.com. You're able to grab the 5 hidden secrets of confidence there. Go to theconfidencealchemist.com/radio show, and you will be able to see all of the previous and current and upcoming episodes of the radio show. Or alternatively, go to Spreaker.com, Spreaker.com/user/coach-on-fire-radio, where you can find all the other fantastic shows which are part of the Coach on Fire radio network. And either way, my name has been Keith Blakemore Noble. I am the Confidence Alchemist, helping you transform your deepest fears and phobias into your greatest strengths. And until next time, in 2 weeks' time, take care, look after yourself, and remember, change is always possible. And when you change your mind, you change your life. Bye-bye.